Hi, Vlog 17th of March 2021. I can't remember what day it is, like Friday. Done gone way too long, do another video. Kind of like, oh man, I guess taking my time. I'm just taking my time. Taking my time with this new deal, I mean, I knew I was opening up a can of worms. Abriendo una taza de gusano. Um, Yeah, I was riding my bike. I was hanging out with my mom a lot and riding my bikes. We're watching Outlander, and we went on like the biggest ride, I guess. Yeah, the other day to a new route. It was cool, but it's been snowing, so I've been staying in. So I decided to go ahead and do all of the data for all the different sections of river, and I haven't. And then I need to go and write them in all of the different. The data for all of the different folders that they're all in, and I'm not done with that. But before I do that, I guess I'm doing two things right now with this rivers folder. Because I started yesterday, I started drawing the area for the different gulches on the creeks. And the creeks, the drainage basins. So yeah, let me try to explain. Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to do it, but then I was like looking, I saw that I had done all the information for all the different, side arroyos, gulches, and they don't have, and then they have like a lot of them. You think they have all of them, and they're like everywhere, but when you look at it closer, you notice that they don't have all of them. Because I'm in here tracing the drainage basins of all of these gulches, and I'm having to eyeball it, like eyeball the watershed. And so when a little gulch goes off, and it works like this with like it's fractal. See, like working with creeks, building creeks like this, it's trippy. It's like fractals. It's like you're stirring up like whenever you stir up your brain, you eat magical mushrooms or like LSD or like DMT. Or if you like smoking a lot of weed, and even just with your mind, what you notice in your mind, there's like patterns everywhere, and like it's like fractals, and things repeating themselves. So, like if you're looking at what's it called, the fractal Mandelbrot set. If you zoom into it, it keeps having, I don't know, it's some kind of mathematical thing. Formula. It keeps having the same little shape over and over again. And same thing with coastlines. If you look at the coastline from space, and then you zoom, and it has like the kind of like the balance between the flat parts and then the jagged parts and the flat. Then you zoom in, it's flat like a beach, jagged where like the river comes out or whatever, flat. And then you go in, it's the same. Well, same thing with the rivers. Go into the river and then it breaks up. Go into river, breaks up. And that's how I organize stuff on my website, folders within folders. And so now I'm doing that with the rivers, and I even kind of noticed that I kind of built a couple of them up, and I was looking at the river, and it does a really good job, like when you draw in the rivers and the bottom of the, when they're like glowing like that, it does a really good job of illustrating the canyons, like the existence of the canyons. Even if you notice the canyons anyway, all the different gulches and the canyons, the little side streams that come in on the creek, you notice them anyway. But when you have a creek on the bottom, when you have a creek on the bottom of it, like all of a sudden, like you see how the creek's below, and you can see the contour of the creek, like how it's like this in the flat, and then it goes on the steep, and then you can like maybe like not see the creek when it goes down the deep part, and all of a sudden you can totally see it. Basically, it's kind of like when you're looking at maps. You can choose between having contour map or satellite map, but like they don't have like, and I think sometimes maybe was it MapQuest, somebody had like satellite and contour map, maybe I've seen, where it's satellite map but then you can see the lines going through it. But a type of satellite contour map that's not as intrusive and more natural is when you can see the creeks. That's like a contour map, and you're seeing, but now when you see the creeks in there, you can imagine, like you can imagine time. You can imagine the creeks being water and like melting all of that earth down and carrying the dirt out over time. So it's kind of like a snapshot of time. It's like you're looking back in history. One cool thing to do would be like make a little science kit. I got this idea recently. Here's a little aside, but then I'll get back on track. I got this really cool epiphany. Like, they're selling all kinds of super awesome cheap stuff nowadays that used to be prohibitively expensive, like drones. Like you can buy a freaking helicopter to fly around, remote control, and fly around and film stuff like hardcore, like way big, high, and far and stuff. And then, drone planes and all that. And then you can buy like night vision goggles for like $100. It's crazy. But now you can also buy freaking 3D printers, dude, for like $200. And the price ranges, but like, I mean, it seems like you could get a $200 3D printer and just print whatever the hell you want, no matter how big. You could print just in like sections and glue it together. And I think I saw like the title of a video of these guys, this father and the son, who 3D printed a Lamborghini, like Murcielago or something. Yeah, I want to know what 3D printer they use, but like, so I got the idea, like, oh my god, and I saw the detail. I saw some YouTube videos of people doing 3D printing, and it's like the detail, and it looks like it prints in plastic, which is like really durable, and the detail of what this dude was printing was like, I mean, like it would even show like the logo of stuff. Like you could print whatever to a T, and just based on designs you can do just on, like, I think Photoshop, or maybe there's some designs that come with it, but programs that come with it. But and I have Photoshop, so it's like, whoa, I want to practice that one day. But I got the idea that, so if you can literally like us, like normal people, like today, not like the labs in 20 years, no, like us today can now literally conjure whatever the hell we want out of thin air, because we have freaking 3D printers. All you need is to, oh, actually, I think you have to pay for it. I was looking at it on Adobe. I have Creative Cloud, and I I think Photoshop, you make 3D models and maybe in interfaces with the program that works with the printers, but with like the printer, the cloud package for 3D, I think it was like $30 a month. So, oh no, it's $50 a month. It's 50, and I already pay 50 a month with cloud. So that would be something that I would have to like. That would be like an investment in itself, like a whole nother thing. But like the idea that I got, like I could make money off of it. I could make a business out of it because like if you can conjure up whatever you want, I could come up with all sorts of, and I haven't even really thought about it. I need to think about it. Like when I'm laying in bed and like insomnia, waiting to go to sleep or whatever, have time to just think like what I want to build. I want to build a bunch of educational materials, because I make educational stuff on my website and I have all these different ideas and I have time. I have like ideas to like build really cool things later on and actually like sell it, because like it's so easy to sell stuff. You just build it. If you build it yourself, like in your spare room, you set up your freaking 3D printers. Maybe you set up a few of them going all the time or something, and or you would contract out if once you just if you make a lot of them, make have the Chinese do it. No, but yeah, because I saw some company that like they do it. They're like, send us your designs and we'll print it for you in our super printer. But yeah, all these like I have the idea to let me give you. There's two ideas that I have. One idea, and it's not really laser. It's not something that you would print. It's something that you would actually build with your hands. But I want to make a water clock that you would fit on the wall. And so you would assemble it and like you would just get like a big like gallon bucket or something, or whatever. And then you pour it on the top, and then over a course of a certain period of time that I guess you could somehow program into the clock, it would make certain sounds based on like hitting cymbals and the drops hitting the cymbals after passing through the circuit, and making different sounds, as many different sounds as you can, hitting different things, like maybe landing on different like plastic things that go and so that it sounds like running water and it sounds soothing, but also it gives a signal. So it's like something you could use for like yoga, like you put on your meditation music or whatever, or you could make your music completely natural, like for your yoga session. Like you open up the window and the wind would make the cymbals go like that are dangling, and then like the birds are chirping, and then you just pour water in your water clock, and like at the end, the water clock hits the thing that makes a certain sound, like the cymbals, and it's like, and you could have different cymbals with different sounds, and it goes like ding 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 ding, and that tells you it's done after like 10 minutes, and it's like all natural. You just have it designed, and I haven't thought it in my head exactly how you design, but you put it up on the wall, like take up the entire wall, and the water goes through like this long circuit, and it like goes, and then it collects, after a certain time, and then it'll go off certain channels that would then hit certain things that make certain noises, and then finally as it all goes down, like that would be the coolest design. Patent it. But then yeah, like then people could make all sorts of different designs off of it. Yeah, no, you would sell the kit, and then maybe you could make it like designs where people could make variations of it to make it suit their timing, to make it take certain different periods of time. So that's one cool thing. But then there's this other idea I had, which is with something that you 3D print. And so it's related to this other idea that I had where like in ancient Rome, like one of my favorite buildings. I've always been fascinated with ancient Rome because they built stuff that lasts today. Like they're the people that go back the farthest back in time with the most complex architecture that still survives. So it's just fascinating because you're like 2,000 years ago. Oh my God, well, like barbarians, and they were building this, and it still survives. Like because they have like super concrete. It's like better than ours today because they have special secret ingredient in their ash that there is surrounding Rome, and they so anyways, Colosseum is like my favorite building always, but like there's this other building that's like my new one of my favorite buildings because it's like has a practical effect on like the modern world, like, and that's the column of Marcus Aurelius and the column of Trajan. It's actually two of them. Column of Trajan was doesn't exist anymore, but it's inside of it was inside of the library of Trajan. Like, you know those libraries, the classic library, like when you have like historical movies of like the Lord or the Queen's chamber or whatever in ancient in England, the 1700s, whatever, like, or Versailles, you would see the library. You know how the library was the classic design of the library where you would have the two floors. So like you walk around, it's this big giant rectangle, and you walk around, and the books go up forever so high that like you have to get up like a on like a big ladder on wheels and like wheel around and grab the books. But then there's a whole nother level above that you walk around with a big balcony. You can walk around the balcony and look down into the main area, and that balcony has its own like wall of books that's really high that you have to get to the top with a ladder that's on wheels, you know. And on the balcony, even on the balcony and on the bottom, it would have these areas that go in, you know. So it's just giant, and but it's just one room. It's just one big square, but it's all on massive scale. Well, that was originally Rome. That was from Rome. That was how the library of Trajan, Column of Marcus Aurelius and the Column of Trajan. Yeah. The Library of Trajan. The library doesn't exist anymore either. It's up there near the Forum of Rome, right there in the downtown area, like right next to, just east, right across the street from like where the Forum is. And anyway, in the center of that big square was the Column of Trajan, and it was this big, like, how high was it? Like, I think it was taller than the statue of Nero and the Statue of Liberty, which is like 33 meters, like 100 feet high. It was like taller than that. I think it's 55 meters high, if I remember correctly. 50 meters high. It's like it was like as high as the Colosseum, which is 50 meters, but maybe a little higher. Yeah, so it's like really high, and like you can, the column of Marcus Aurelius still exists, and you can still hike to the top of it. It's closed, but like I saw a YouTube video of people who went up there. I guess you get special permission to go up there. I'd love to go up there, but it's one of the most freaking ingenious and fascinating architectural designs, and it's so amazing that we have got to rebuild it. We have to make it a tradition and have those everywhere in town. Okay, so like, I was always fascinated with like lookout points. I'm from Colorado. I'm from Boulder, and there's a lot of lookout points here. And when you're living in a flat town, like that'd be cool. You want to have your like lookout point in the center. When I was bike touring across Europe back in 2010, I was riding across, and I was also across Netherlands, and I was also bike toured across the Netherlands in '97. But I remember noticing it in 2010. Riding in Holland and then Netherlands is like the most densely populated country in all of Europe, but they're like geniuses the way that they manage their area, man. Like they have this thing called Zealand, this area called Zealand, that if you look at it, you can clearly see it's this big like flat area, and that used to be in a bay. That used to be the sea. It used to be water, and they just carted dirt on top of it because it wasn't very deep to make land for their population. And when I bike toured across there in 2010, I rode across Zealand, and it was like flat, and I remember a lot of farmland, and because that's where the water was, and so it's low and easy to irrigate. And yeah, there was like the bike paths on the edge of all the farm, like straights for a really long time, and then you would like turn and then straight. It was like that's where all the straightaways and the bike paths were. But um, so um, when I was bike touring, because it's so like densely populated, and so a lot of times I like to camp out in the woods to save money, and a lot of times it was difficult for me to find a spot because even though they have woods and stuff, it's like there's never a patch of woods big enough where somebody's not going to see you because like the entire country is populated with people. And so there's also like there's also a town, like an old village every like few kilometers. I mean, they're really close to each other, the villages. Like as soon as one village is over, there's another one. It's like China. If you look at China on Google Earth, you'll see like all these little dots, like little villages, like literally right next to each other, thousands of them. Like it'd be interesting to count all those. I'm not going to, but my God, some Chinese person should. But so yeah, when I was riding through Netherlands, I was like, you can always see a downtown because every one of these old villages has a church, and all their churches have the same architecture. They're all these like really like pointy spires, and so you could see them from a long ways away, and it was the one thing from the town you could see. And so it was a way to gauge. It was a genius way to gauge how far away you are from all the towns. Like from back in the good old days, like when people were traveling around walking, everybody was on foot, or you were on a horse or in a carriage, and you're traveling everywhere, right? And you want to know, you want to be able to see your odometer, right? And see how far it is from town to town. All you have to do is look off in the distance, and you see this really tall spire. And as the spire gets bigger and bigger, you know how big you know exactly how far you are. You just look at the spire, and then you can see that spire, and then you look off in the distance, and you can see another spire. Like you can see multiple spires at the same time. There's so many, and if you're on top of a spire, you can see a whole bunch more. It's kind of like smokes, like permanent smoke signals. And so that's kind of what the column of Marcus Aurelius is, and column Marcus Trajan. They go up like 50 meters, like 150 feet, and it's like a place to go up to the top of your village and to be a lookout, to look around, have a vista of your village, have a view of your village. It's like having a map, instead of having a map on the wall, just have the spire, and then people would go up on top of the little local lookout spire tower and look around the town. That's probably another use for the churches in Europe. But because they have areas, but it wasn't like as public, but not like a big lookout area like the Eiffel Tower or the Empire State Building. But the column of Marcus Aurelius is like that. Like it's designed like that. You go in it, and then you walk up it on the inside, and then on the very top, there's this circle that goes around the edge to look around, and then you go back in and go back in. It's beautiful, but the cool thing about it is that the stairs are on the inside, okay? Which means that when you look at it, it can be used as purely a decorative totem pole piece. And so in the library of Trajan, And they had that spire in there. Trajan had on his spire the story of his taking over, conquering Dacia, which is the country in modern day Romania, where they had all the gold mines, which made Rome really rich, and they could expand their empire to the biggest it ever was, all the way down to Kuwait, and build a bunch more things. And so he built the spire, and the spire, or the column, and the column told the story of the war conquering Dacia, because it has this like this story that wraps around. It goes around in a column, like if you're wrapping a story. Because in those days, when they read books in scrolls. Everything was in a you know, like a wooden pole that they would wrap the paper around, and then they would, as they would read down the page, they would unravel one while they ravel another one, and then they go in through. And so like whenever they take a break, they know exactly where they were, and they pick up where they left off, and then they would get through to the end of the book. And it was a great way to read stuff. And that's kind of like how the same way how you read the column of Trajan. You walk around on the either on the bottom of the library square area, just around and around and around, reading it up, or you go up to the second level of the library where the balcony is. I built all this on Google Earth. I recreated a model of it. You can download it and look on Google Earth and actually go there and look at it. Just open up like Google, like Rome. It's divided into different folders because it's so big. So you have to go to region 4, I think, and then just go to the search bar and type column of Trajan. But you could go to the second level of the balcony of the library and walk around the balcony to read the column. Like once you go down the ground level and read it up until balcony level, and then you go up to the balcony, walk around the balcony, and read it to the top. And then it's like reading a book, only a giant book. So they had a giant book in the middle of the library, and it was like, I think the scroll, if you were to unravel it, like if you go to the Wikipedia of column of Trajan or column of Marcus Aurelius, they'll have a big image, I'm pretty sure, on there of where it's all like laid out. I think they made actually a plaster cast of it in Rome, and they laid it out all in one plaster cast in a museum in Rome. So you can go to the museum and you can actually walk down the hallway and read what's on the column by walking down the hallway instead of walking around it. That would have been a cool thing that the ancient Rome should have done. And it's like really long, you know what I mean? So it's like a really cool way to illustrate a really technical story, like as much detail as a book, just in one big column. And it was painted, and because these scrolls were so big, it was like the tapestry that it was on was like 6 feet thick or something, or more. Oh man, I'm gonna go look, but it was like really thick. So they just jam-packed everything on in there with like mind-boggling detail. Like if you could, you know, and that tradition actually carried on into like the Enlightenment, Middle Ages, with the Cathedral of Florence, with all of the different designs on the outside of the building, because they had it all like, you know, plastered on. Like they would have like soldiers, you know, they're holding like spears, and they would actually have them holding like an actual spear, and they had like also like holes in it, like the people would have eyes on the edge. They would have holes, so you could look through the holes and look out into the town as you're walking up the stairs. There were certain holes where you could look out and look at the view from the of the city. So I guess if there were like crowds waiting, you could still look as you're waiting going up. And so yeah, back in those days it was painted, and it was like told the whole story in drawings of the war. And so and so it has all those multiple functions, you know. It was this beautiful like book, this beautiful thing to look at, also this tower that you could use to walk up in the middle of, to then look at the whole view of the whole city, and then serve as a thing that you could look at from a distance as you're, I mean, a long time ago, Rome was a lot smaller, and so even something that big, even though that's only 50 meters, it's still something you could see from a long ways away. So as people are coming into Rome, you'd be like, oh, that's the center of Rome where the towers are, and you go in. There's some other towers that I built too that are higher than those that I took from a plane, a map of this tower that Rome that they did have that collapsed in an earthquake that was right near there. It was like 75 meters high, and I saw the plans of these other ones in this map I was looking at that looked similar to those, and I was like, oh my god, those are those towers. So I made two 75-meter high towers. So those are like Romans skyscrapers, two of them right there between the Pantheon and the Baths of Agrippa. So but so but the amazing thing about the column of Marcus Aurelius is that the whole thing is made out of, well, except for the designs on the outside, because they kind of made those and then like attached them. It's like not carved in, but I think a lot of it was actually carved in. But it's made out of giant solid blocks of marble that are carved like at a solid block of marble that are then just stacked on top of each other. All they had to do is stack them on top of each other. So they just got a simple crane. They prefabbed these big chunks, carved them, and then they got a crane, and then they had little notches to notch them together, and then they just stacked them on top of each other. Maybe glued them together, and boom, there you go. And so the amazing thing about that is that you could recreate that today. And so what I want to do, and like in real life though, people should have their own towers. Like every village should have their own tower of Marcus Aurelius, the same exact design, like the same size, everything. Because the size of it is the size that like you could truck in. You could stick those blocks easily on a truck, or maybe even on like a big pickup or something. So it's something that you could haul into like really cool remote mountain villages on the tops of mountains and hills. That'd be really cool. But and like they could be affordable, and so like you could construct it like maybe like carve it, get machines to carve out. So you get a donut, you carve out a donut that's like this, that's high, like maybe 6 feet high or whatever. I can't remember how high it was or how many segments it was, but and then you hollow it out, and then you have and then you would have the sticks, little posts stick up. So like on the top it would be male, and on the bottom it would be the female, the whole. And and um, and so it's this like donut, but then you have carved into it. You have the stairs where they come out from the side and then they come down. So they start on the top of the donut, and then they spiral down, and this is how they designed it. And then it spirals down to that same area, a 360-degree spiral of stairs down to that same area, to the bottom of the chunk of your block. And it's all one carving. And so then you just stack them on top, and then when you stack them, when you walk up the stairs, like you get to the top of your stairs, and then you just continue on to the bottom of the next segment, around up to the next one, around up. And that's how they design that thing. And so the cool thing is, the thing that I want to do, because I was like, has anybody done this? That was the first thing I thought. I was like, somebody has got to have built this already. So I typed on, there's some website, I think it's, is it the SketchUp? Maybe it's the SketchUp site. That guy's from Boulder, actually. I found that because my mom said she doesn't. Anyway, I typed in, that, and they have it, but it's only, and maybe even on the program you could print it, but it's only the outside of it. It's only the shape of it with like even the design on the outside of it, but it's not the 3D like on the inside too. So what I want to do is get on the program and design the blocks, so that a 3D printer could go and print the blocks. And so like a normal, like maybe a $200 printer, like that can only print little areas, because your blocks don't only have to be like, you could make the whole thing like not that big, you know, and then you sell it online, and then it's like a puzzle piece. Then they buy it, and then they just piece it together, and then everybody has their little, their own little personal column of Marcus Aurelius, and you can have different sizes. You can just sell them in different sizes, or you could just let people print their own version of it once everybody has their own 3D printer. But but like, so I don't know how you do, but like, yeah, you design the 3D printer to like print this block, you know, the little donut, and then connect it to the side, and also connect it to the circle in the middle that they go around. Because the diameter of the little circle is maybe like, I think the diameter of the whole thing was maybe like, oh God, what was it? Like 8 meters or 5 meters. It wasn't that much. And then the diameter of the little one, solar circle, was only like a meter. So it's like the circle, and then the stairs connecting to the edge, and then they go up, and that's like a really sturdy, solid piece that would never break. And yeah, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to design that on the program. Because it's also really simple, you know. Like I just described it right here. So, anyways, that's like one really cool thing. That's like an educational thing. You could 3D print, but there's probably so many different ideas. Like, dude, you could 3D print a goddamn. I just came up with this idea right now, but you could come up with a plan, because once you make a 3D printer plan for one thing, like it'll be so much easier to make a 3D plan for the next thing, because you know how the program works, and you know what you can do and what you have to do to get what you do. And the more you make, the quicker you get. And so like you could make a 3D plan of the Great Pyramid of Giza, including the inside. So like you could buy the piece, and you can make the little blocks like maybe as big as your fist, and you can make this pyramid like as big as like a room for people, maybe an outdoor pyramid, or something that would take up maybe 4 feet by 4 feet, made out of tiny little blocks or whatever. But you actually recreate the pyramid, and you have even the inside recreated, the entire thing, like exactly how it was. And that'd be a really educational thing, because then kids could build it like a puzzle, and then you could come to insights on how they built it, and do like scientific experience on how they built it, with normal people could, with their model. And then you could make the models of all these different, like erector set type of thing, Lego, take Lego to the next level of all the different historical buildings, and future buildings, and but like stuff that illustrates concepts too, like sizes of things, like number contemplation and size contemplation, piecing things together. Anyway, that's just, oh my God, the possibilities for these 3D printers is amazing. So, but that's like, I'm not going to do that anytime soon. That's just, but that would be really awesome if every town could have their own column of Marcus Aurelius. And it's amazing. See, they built it like Marcus Aurelius. Trajan was in 106 AD when he took over Dacia, and Marcus Aurelius was 166 to 180 AD. Or maybe that, no, yeah, because Commodus was 180 to 192. And so that was like almost 2,000 years ago. And if you go there now, it's like perfectly preserved. Like you look at the outside of it, the only thing that's different is the paint washed off, but like you can still go, it still works. You still walk to the top of it. It's like good as new. So it's like, and it withstood all that stuff. So it's like, wow. And look at the Pantheon. That's like good as new. And even the Colosseum is still intact. So yeah, just to last. Like if you build, guys, like plastic is built to be durable. Just get a really durable plastic. And then you put one of those column of Marcus Aurelius's, and that's kind of like the way of saying to society, like, this village is meant to last, because we have a culture of like building stuff not meant to last. Like you build a culture or a town, and it's based on some local industry, and then it goes away, and then town doesn't die. But then that's kind of like bad to the environment, like how all these towns like polluting. Why not build a town that just stays there? And then it doesn't have to, based on the location, it doesn't have to be dependent on something local. So then you build things to meant to last. Then you build the houses to last out of stone, and then you build these column of Marcus of just like the Marcus Aurelius. That'd be really cool. I think I built some like of the models of them on Google Earth on my here in Boulder, on my Boulder roam and stuff, but I can't remember off the top of my head where they are. But I should build more. I should, because they're so simple. Because they're just circles. You just do a circle this size, and that's it. Boom, and then you make the other one to make the top or whatever. Boom, there it is. You just do them. But takes 1 second. But yeah, I should do that because I think every town should have one. Then you can calibrate to see like how far away they are from when you're on the ground level, and when you're on top of one, how far away you can see. Yeah, that'd be cool. They should. I'm not saying I don't. I was about to say they should make it legal to like go to the top of it, but then that would crumble. It would be bad for it. I don't even know if they let you go to the top of Leaning Tower of Pisa anymore. I went up there once. That was interesting. But they should go to Rome, and they should actually build a duplicate of it in Rome. I just got the idea now. That way people could go to the top of it, look around Rome, and then they could feel like they're in Rome, but they're not actually doing damage to the real one. Maybe they build one right next to the original one. Because it's so simple architecturally that it'd be cheap to build, and you build them out of these plastics, and if they're built out of plastics, it's really strong and it's light, so you can assemble them with like local cranes and stuff, or maybe even Roman technology cranes. We should bring back Roman technology. Like you could, if have the plans, you could build a freaking trebuchet. That's what they would do in the Middle Ages. They go to besiege a castle, and because they had the old ancient Roman plans, they just go grab some trees and build a freaking catapult to tear down the wall. I mean, when you know what to do. That's why these 3D printers are going to be fascinating. So, anyways, so let me get back to what I'm doing. So I'm working on these different gulches and trying to give the area to the different gulches, and it's going to be color coded. And when you see the color coding of all the big creeks, water drainage area, it's like watershed. It's really fascinating because now you can see it, and it's like some of them, because they take on a personality of their own based on the shape. Some of them are like way narrower than you thought. Some are really wide, and they have these big side wide ones that go off. Like Boulder Creek has 4 Mile Canyon, which is like almost as big as Boulder Creek, but it goes into Boulder Creek. And anyways, all these insights. But I'm gonna color code all the different gulches, and then I'm gonna plug in the sizes of all different gulches. And I don't know how many it is, but I think it's enough. It's like in the hundreds. But then plug that in for download on my Google Earth page. But I want to color code the different gulches. So I think it's like 30 of them from Boulder Creek. So that's not too much. 30 is something you wrap your head around, and you can put maybe in one like viewable area. So color code it like 1 through 10. My number is 1 through 10, rainbow color. So you do 3 waves of them, and then of those gulches. And then when you zoom out and you look at the gulches, you can see those different areas. The sizes of them. And when you're riding your bike, you look at them. That'll totally bring more interest to it, because then you look at all of them. You go, which gulch is that? Which gulch is that? Perfect way to memorize it, and then you can layer it on top of all the other stuff that I have, like all the other mining towns and the Boulder Roman villages in Boulder, and the mines and the Strava segments, and all the stuff that people build modern times, and also, I'm gonna know exactly how many there are. Like you number them, and I'm super curious to know how many there are of these little gulches, because these little gulches are kind of like little worlds. They're like little neighborhoods. They're the size of like maybe somebody's biggest estate. I'm curious to see how similar it is, but like somebody owns like Neverland maybe, or like maybe some of the smaller gulches would be some of the size of the bigger mansions in Hollywood. I don't know, but or like a small village, size of like a village, maybe like 4 kilometers around or whatever, like your typical like ancient city. But then you could attach like things to it to help, because I like to layer stuff and bring stuff together. Attach all the different Roman families. I was figuring out a way to put all the different Roman families. Like you can have there's an actual finite number of Roman families that are known. It's the list of Roman families on Wikipedia, and if you could attach a Roman family to each one of those, if the numbers match up, you could attach a Roman family to each one of those little gulches, and then kind of plug that in and be like, because into plug that historically in, because in ancient Rome they have these different tribes. The tribe come from here, the tribe from there. So I can make a story like, and then when the tribes came in from Rome from the mountains, there were the 400 original families, and they coming from the different valleys of the different river gulches, and so each gulch has, because I'll already have all these things built anyway, like from the houses from the mining towns in ancient Rome. You just build some more little house, or maybe you build them in like circles, like they were in huts or whatever. Like, yeah, from hills from this valley, and so each valley would have the name of a Roman family. But also, there or Roman senators. But yeah, you have to want like specific names, Or if you want to get cheeky, like I want to have a section of like oligarch, like all the billionaires of America. Like choose an area and be like, that's like nasty, and be like, this is where the oligarch lane is. Have them all like oligarch ghetto. Have them all like there, but it's a certain number, and then name them. I think one thing that's really good to help with wealth discrepancy is just by shining to light. Just letting people know how much they make. Anyways, that's a lot of sidetracks. So this project is like super stony, like trippy, like I don't know, like I'm kind of running out of weed. I only have a couple days left. I might have to. I'm probably gonna have to buy more weed. I'm done, even though it's money. I've kind of have the attitude that I have about this project is like a no cost, no object, time, no object project. So I'll buy as much weed as I feel fit, and I'll spend as much time as I feel fit on it, because I don't think it's ever been done before, where you color code all the different micro watersheds. Like when you see a watershed, even if it's not even color coded, but if you ever did see a color coded watershed, it's like next to each other for whatever purpose, you wouldn't have the little gulches in there color coded. Like nobody's that crazy except for me. But I think it's worth it, because this is Boulder, and this is like the one place in the whole world where all these people, not just the locals, but people who come traveling from out of state, come and they learn these mountains, and they learn them by heart. And to be able to just dissect it and identify each and every gulch would be pretty interesting, because there's also so much other history going on. So just to layer it all together would be really enlightening, and help with the culture of biking, and getting to know history in your area, and everything, because I have like the animals in there, and history, and the rivers, and it just ties it all together. Even the future parallel universe possibilities of villages up on top of mountains and stuff like that. So yeah, so I think it's worth it, even though it's going to take a long time. Like I just kind of got started yesterday. I finished, took forever to do the data of all those little ones, and because it was all sections, but I did them, and then I'm not done, because I would have, like, if a river is made up of like 10 different sections, I'd have the high elevation, low elevation, elevation change, and distance, and all of them. And so then if I have the folder, though, because that's what I would have for download, when I would look at, I would just look at the highest elevation, the highest, low elevation, lowest, put them together, and then distance and elevation change. So I have to do that for a lot of them, but right now I'm doing tracing the areas. So that's and I'm working on Boulder Creek right now. Maybe halfway through. It's snowing right now, hardcore. I don't know if I'll go to the store and get an energy drink. I do need to like exercise at least once a day. It'd be fun to ride because it's not like slippery right through the snow. It's probably not all that slippery. It's like big flakes slowly coming down. It's pretty cool. Okay, enough talking. Oh, I'll try to do a video like every day from now on. Like now that I'm in a zone. See, I'm also in a good working zone right now because I kind of figured out my mom. Like she's like, whenever she freaks out at me, don't work in there all the time. Da, da, da. All I have to do is go sign the 3 agreements. She's like, okay, and then she won't 3 agreements. So I won't talk about that. I talked to her about that before, but so I'm like, yeah, nobody's bothering me. I can just focus, get into a rhythm, and yeah, maybe get into listening to the stuff more, the Generations book. I've been really distracted by this war, but it looks like the good guys are winning. So, anyways, yeah, dude, this is gonna be a whole month, but fuck it, whatever. And I also decided that I'm gonna organize the lakes based on the rivers too. Before I was gonna number the lakes based on how they numbered them, where I got it from the state. I mean the county government site, but I don't like how they do it, and I want to do it. Even though I'll keep the numbers that they assign, maybe they had it for a reason, but I'm gonna. I'm going through all the trouble to organize all the rivers and all the different areas, and I might as well just, if it's already organized, I'll just organize the. Paste the little rivers into those folders, organize it, the lakes, the same way in its own folder, but organized the same way as the lakes, the rivers, which will take. There's like 1,380 of those, so 1,390. So that'll take a while. So whatever, I don't care because when this is done, it's going to look really cool. So it'll be at least the end of this month, maybe a whole nother month after this if you're going to include the working on the website of it. But whatever, no big deal. Alrighty, talk to you tomorrow.